Hello, everybody. Welcome to the drive-through. I'm your host, Tony T. I'll be joined by Danny Lane and Mitch in just a second, guys. Just want to let you know our show is about picks, and we'll be wall-to-wall picks here. We'll lead you a little bit before the top of the hour, where we have we've got one NBA game, we've got a couple college football games, four MLBs, and two NHL. So a lot of sports today on our show, a lot of picks, as always, here on the drive-through. I'd like to welcome to the show right now my co-host for today. We got Dana Lane and Mitch join us here. You hear Mitch in the morning show. Dana, how are things going? Looking forward to some good NBA playoffs tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. I mean, it's we talked about this 2 days ago, how my mental sports clock is so off. I mean, I feel like it should be May because we're watching critical games in the NBA, critical games in the NHL, and, of course, college football and the NFL are going to be starting combined within the next week. So it's tough to kind of focus and reestablish your mind of where you actually are. But you know what? This is better than no sport, so I'm happy.
I have to agree. You know, right, Mitch, as you always said, just keep the positive mode. We got two NBA games. It's Toronto-Boston, bottom of the hour here. We've seen some movement here from the open. Toronto 2.5, looking to avoid that 0-3 hole, and maybe they can make some three-pointers in this game. What?
I muted myself
now
before we went live. There we go. Sorry about that, everyone. That's that morning show garbage that we try and pull. Anyways, I just think that in this series, what we've seen is that, you know, the Raptors have had very few answers for the Celtics. Here I was expecting a lot more out of them. And if they're going to stand up and be counted, then today's the day. Obviously, Kawhi Leonard's not coming back, right? I mean, that is what they're missing. I think we're seeing, the coming out party for these for some of these young guys on the Celtics and the, what the future is. And I know Dana's a Vegas guy, and I think that it almost is becoming more and more apparent what's going on here. I think the NBA really wants to see a Celtics Lakers final. I think it's something, it's like when I got it. It's like they're all sitting around a board meeting, right? It's like, I got this idea. Have a Celtics Lakers final. Everyone's like, all right, I'm in. Right? It's like, it just seems to be where the NBA, where they don't know where to go, it just seems to be where they always go.
Yeah, it looks that way. But, of course, those are two defensive-minded teams there, Dana. If that happens, of course, the Celtics in this matchup, we saw them in that series against Philadelphia sweep one of their foes there in the East. We lost Dana there for a second. I'll bring it to Mitch. Yeah, it was a really dominating effort.
I'm sorry, Tony. You cut out if you were talking to me.
Yeah. Yeah, we're discussing here how Boston had success with Philadelphia.
Absolutely. And what's interesting about this is the Celtics have won 2 games after being down and heading into the fourth quarter in this postseason. Now, that doesn't seem like a big deal, but they've only won 2 games during the entire regular season. They were down heading into the fourth quarter. And I think we're seeing a maturity certainly in a lot of superstars that are coming out of this group. I know the Superbook did take a big bet this afternoon, $55,000 on Toronto minus the 2.5.
Wow.
Not sure I completely agree with that. But for Toronto, I mean, really their success, if they're going to have success moving forward in this series, I mean, Kyle Lowry has to be absolutely much better than he was. You can't shoot 1 for 12 beyond the arc and expect them to have success. They are trying to find some answers offensively, and when you're playing a club like Boston, whose forte is defense, boy, that's really tough to try to find your offense against one of the better defensive teams in the league.
Absolutely. I would look there, taking the points there with the Boston Celtics in this one. All right, we'll continue here on the drive-through wall-to-wall picks, and it's time for our picks. And I want to let you know we got Shane Mickle ready to join us here on the drive-through. Shane, how you doing this afternoon?
Good. How about you guys?
Doing great out here. And, of course, you're going to be taking a look at an American League contest as we got the Blue Jays and Red Sox going at it.
Yeah, I'm going to look at the side here for the Blue Jays, and this for me is a complete fade of Martin Perez. I'm a Twins fan. Perez was on the Twins last year, and he started out really strong, and about 8 or 9 starts in, he really collapsed, and that's what happened in his last start for the Red Sox. He went 4 innings against Washington, giving up 8 hits and 6 runs. The Blue Jays are way too good a price in this one.
Yeah, it looks look a good number there. Dana, Taijuan Walker, we saw while he pitched with Seattle, but kind of maybe he pitched well with Seattle in his first run there. Gets the trade, and of course at Boston, that pitching staff got ripped up by Atlanta in their series.
Yeah, I mean, it's going back to Walker. I mean, this is certainly not a guy. I know everybody wants to jump on, guys that move from one team to another, and it's exciting, and we always want to bet on them. But I need to see a little bit of everybody who's changed teams in their current environment, so I can accurately assess who they are as a player on this club. And like he was saying about Perez, this guy's coming back from a blister issue, and that's. They better make sure he's 100%, because when you have a blister, and obviously he throws a lot of junk, that means that the ball is rubbing off that finger quite a bit. So he better be 100%. And until I know that, there's no way I can put my money on either of these teams. Now, when healthy, he certainly has had his success against Toronto. They have scored a lot of runs for him. He took a couple hard luck losses, but he's pitched at least 5 innings in 5 of his 7 starts this year. So that's one thing you can hang your hat on with Perez. But I still need to see him post blister.
Yeah, Dana was cutting out over there. But one thing I have an issue here with Perez is the fact that he hasn't pitched well at home at Fenway Park. ERA over 7, and of course, Mitch Perez. This is a pitcher that's bounced around teams.
Absolutely. Here's a guy we faded for a very long time. I'm with Shane on this. I have had my problems with Perez. We've seen him pitch pretty decently, though, so far this season. It is a short season, so he doesn't get as worn down and beaten up as we're used to seeing from Perez. So almost looks a little bit different, but certainly, he's never going to be that guy who's at the top of your rotation. He's more that, number 3. And I think he's been he's being asked for more here in Boston. I'm just not so sure he's up to the task. Just a side note here. I'm live chatting with everybody on the Pick Dogs YouTube channel and the Sports Chat YouTube channel at the same time. So if you guys see me turn my head to the side, that's what I'm doing. I'm just chatting with you guys. So anything you want to say, I'm here. We're talking. We're having a good time. A lot of people I know from our morning show crowd are joining us. I see we have really good numbers of people watching us. I'm really excited to be here. Shane was, always excited to talk to Shane, of course. We normally talk through Slack and chat and stuff, but it's always good to
Yep, that's right.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we're all with you there, Shane, with this Toronto at -118. And I want you everybody to know what you got going on over at Pick Dogs.
Yeah, I've got a 3-pack tonight. It's got to play on both the NBA games, one side, one total, and then I've got a top play in the MLB included in that package too. $34.95.
All right, guys, check out Shane Mickle over at Pick Dogs. You'll get some winners from him, and of course, we've got him on a couple of times a week here on our drive-through show. Wall-to-wall picks, guys. We'll have a bunch more picks coming up. Leaning close to the top of the hour when we have a lot more action coming up. Shane, is always great having your show. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, thanks, guys. Have a good night.
All right, go ahead and bring on in Dana Lane and Mitch. Dana, we've got a couple from the NHL tonight. First, they will drop the puck at 7 Eastern time. Islanders and the Philadelphia Flyers. The Islanders about a $1.25 favorite with a goal total of 5.
Yeah, it looks like the public are all over the Islanders tonight. 74% of the tickets written are on the. For me, it's a no play. I mean, New York probably last in regulation scored twice in the final 4-14 to put this game time. They should be without Matthew Barzal.
All right.
There had an update he's going to play, but that Barzal lineup, obviously, that's a huge loss for you faced by Claude Giroux's stick.
All right, here on the drive-through, we'll continue with our picks. We'll move on and bring in Alex Smart. He's got something to talk. We'll talk here on this Islander Flyer game. Alex, how you doing? I know you're professional better first, handicapper second. So you're not going to hear too much handicapping talk from Alex because Alex moves a lot of money. He's done it for several years. Alex, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. How's everything, Tony?
Everything's great. I'm joined with Dana and Mitch here on the drive-through, and I know just get your overall thoughts here on these playoff series. A unique situation here with these teams in the bubble.
Well, the one that's really caught my attention, and let's give kudos to Tampa Bay, because we were shooting all over Tampa Bay and really not giving them a lot of respect. And after a few kicks in the face early on during the playoffs, I mean, they've come to life and they've advanced, and they're waiting now for the Islanders or the Flyers. And from the West, Vegas is looking good. I mean, here we are. This is an expansion team, only a couple years in, and they're there on the verge of another Stanley Cup. We'll see if they can get to the promised land. I'm not really sure they can, but we'll see.
Yeah, definitely no doubt about that. All right, you're looking at this Philadelphia Flyers New York Islander game at 7 p.m. Eastern time. We'll drop the puck a little bit top of the hour. With the Islanders here laying about $1.25 to $1.30, goal total of 5.
Yeah, that $1.25 is right on. What I'm seeing with Barzal right now, there's a little bit of talk now on one of their fan websites. They're saying Barzal is going to play, and then there's like people around the team saying Barzal is going to play. Now, he is important to this team, but he is not the most important factor for this team, and I'll tell you why. This team plays a grinding, defensive, old, I don't know what you'd want to call trap type of hockey, and it's really hard to play against, and it's a team concept. So despite of Barzal's great offensive abilities, sometimes he's a defensive liability. In a game like this, might sound strange what I'm about to say, is he may actually, if he doesn't play or isn't 100%, the Islanders might even be tougher to play against. And on the other side of the ice, we have Courtier, who is injured. And that's one of the best two-way players in the whole entire league. And if he's not 100% or does not play, it's lights out for Philadelphia. It's the end of the show. And $1.25 is not too much to ask here from to bet on the Islanders.
All right, Dan, I think we had your sound back here. What are your thoughts on this one here at the top of the hour, Islanders and Flyers?
Yeah, he's right about that. I mean, you look at the Islanders and the way that they play, I mean, it's reminiscent of the old New Jersey Devils style. But the fact of the matter is they do need to get the lead early in order to enforce that style. And if Couturier does not play tonight, obviously that's going to hurt Philadelphia as well. I'd love to get an update on either one of those guys, because I do think that, I mean, obviously defense is the name of the game, but you got to put the puck in the back of the net to advance as well. And those two guys can certainly do that. Are they going to put Brock Nelson up on that first line to center the Eberle and Anders Lee line? I'm not sure. It's tough if you take both of these guys out of the lineup, and now you got to shuffle lines, and now you got to kind of foresee which line is going to have the most cohesion. And that's why when key guys get out of the lineup, especially if it's on that top line or top two lines, that affects everybody down.
All right, Alex, I know the second game of the doubleheader has Vegas and Vancouver. Vegas a huge favorite in this one, goal total of 6. Vegas looking for the closeout.
Yeah, there's to me, there's no value here except on the over. I just keep looking at over games when Vancouver goes on the ice, and Vegas can pile the pucks in the net. They have no problem with doing that, and I think they're just out muscling them, and it just doesn't look like Vancouver's like trying to put up a fight, but I just don't think it's enough, and I think Vegas moves on.
Daniel, your thoughts here on the second game of this doubleheader from the playoffs, Vegas and Vancouver. I know you're out in Vegas. You're very close with the team and the people who cover it, and Vegas a big favorite in this one.
Vancouver, and they've been better than Vancouver in every aspect, in every game, even the two games that they have lost. It is going to be interesting tonight. I expect Demko to be back in goal for Vancouver. There's no reason why the former BC goaltender is not going to be back in goal. I mean, I understand that, obviously you want to get Markstrom back. He's the guy that you've been hanging on to get you there. Demko was absolutely brilliant against the Golden Knights, and he's going to have to steal this game or the next game in order for Vancouver to move forward. I will say this from a Vancouver standpoint, Riley Smith after the game or this earlier today said, we're going to come in tomorrow's and just step on their necks and end this. Well, if I'm Vancouver, I'm looking at that and putting it up on my bulletin board. Now, I don't know if they have the ability, top to bottom, their top 9 guys do not match up well with Vegas, but that's just a little bit more inspiration. And I'm still not sold. And I'm so interested to see what Vegas is going to do because I'm still not sold on Robin Leonard. I think Marc-Andre Fleury may be on back to Pittsburgh, and they are leaning on Robin Leonard to see this thing through. But outside of this year and last year, where it was absolutely fantastic, he was a Vezina finalist, or at least in the discussion. I remember previous to that, Robin Leonard was very, very sporadic, especially when he was in Buffalo, and you never really knew what you were going to get inside the locker room and on the ice. And I need to see more from this guy before I am all in on Robin Leonard. But top to bottom, especially top six, Vegas is better. They're getting points from the blue line. Shea Theodore is becoming increasingly more aggressive. He's coming in from the blue line, getting himself involved in the play, and then able to get back on defense so he doesn't really hurt the Golden Knights in any way. But, boy, they are dynamic, and it used to be, even that year that they went to the Stanley Cup final against Washington, they were getting absolutely nothing from their blue line. This is the best offensive team that the Golden Knights have put on the ice in their 3 seasons.
Yep, they look very fast. They're on the ice. All right, Alex, I know we're getting close to the top of the hour. What do you got going on right now at Pig Dogs?
We've got some college football tonight. College football starting up again. I hope everybody's looking at that closely, and I'm looking at it with a lot of interest and trying to see where there's going to be value here during a very, what we'll call, strange college football season. It's going to be very interesting for sure. Yes, and I've got that one NBA selection on for this evening. Clippers. We've got the Clippers playing tonight.
All right, Clippers and Nuggets here to open up their series. All right, Alex, we'll check him out over at Pig Dogs. Been in this industry a long time. He's a mover out there. He's a professional bettor, first, handicapper second. So you can follow Alex over at Pig Dogs, and he'll make you some money. All right, Alex, it's always great having your show. Have a great night, and we'll talk to you next week.
Take care. Thank you.
All right, back here with Dana Lane and Mitch. And Mitch, we got a few college football games top of the hour. I don't know how much you looked into this game with this big line move here with the Central Arkansas and UAB. One thing that got my attention here is that against Austin Peay, Central Arkansas couldn't run the football, just 1 yard per carry. And, of course, UAB, very experienced, 9 starters on each side, and the entire back 7 coming back. So UAB can understand the line move in this one.
UAB also has a big game next Thursday against Miami. It'll be interesting to see exactly what they're willing to show here. That's what I'm more concerned about. We've seen Central Arkansas play against some of the big boys over the years. It's generally not the UABs that give them trouble. It's against the Middle Tennessee States of the world. You can just look back at their record. It's usually within a touchdown, but when they go against the Oklahoma States, the Kansas States, the big boys, that's where they really struggle. I don't know. I think Central Arkansas probably can hold their own here. I can't wait to see Mike Canes next week and our new quarterback, Derek King. Oh, boy. I think a lot of people are fast asleep on the Hurricanes. They haven't had a quarterback in 20 years, but look at those NFL rosters littered with Hurricane players. Finally, a guy that can get him the football. I mean, this guy beat Oklahoma by himself, but he used with a lot less than what he has to work with here. That's for sure.
Dana, college football has landed. That's really how it feels, right? It's just right on our laps now. Have you given any look on this Central Arkansas UAB game?
Yeah, a little bit, and that was a great point by Mitch. I was going to bring that up as well. I mean, next week is probably UAB's focus against Miami. It is 21.5 now, which is a number that, is always kind of a sticky number for people. But this is probably a game that I'll stay away from. The public certainly is not shy, as we've seen 80% of the tickets are now coming in on the over, which would pretty much makes sense to me. Central Arkansas is playing twice in the last 4 days, so we want to see physically where they're at. I see a lot of Spencer Brown. I think they're going to have trouble stopping them on the run. I think UAB is going to grind this one out, and probably it's going to be close in the first half, but probably in the second half they'll extend the lead. Now, 21.5, that's a number I'll stay away from, but like we talked about a little bit earlier, as far as college football is concerned, I need to just take a step back. I need to watch. I need to see exactly what we have, because honestly, there hasn't been a lot of reports coming out of camp. our focus has been on baseball and hockey and basketball now. So the time that we usually would put into college football and the NFL at this point in the season has been really dwindled down and non-existent. So I just want to take my time on this. There's no need to jump in. This is a 365-day-a-year endeavor.
Absolutely. No reason to jump in, guys. This is the drive-through. I'm joined by Mitch and Dana Lane. Free picks coming. We'll take you near the top of the hour with more picks. We got a lot of handicappers to join us, and we got another one. Let's bring in El Ninos to the party here. El, how you doing this afternoon, evening? We not unmute, my friend. We can unmute Mr. El Ninos. Let's see. Did we lose the sound? El, you there? El. Oh boy, we lost your sound somehow, El. So we got to get that corrected. So we'll bring it. It's not. Now I hear something. You there, El? Yeah, somehow, some way you might have muted your sound, sir. All right, let's go. Let's bring back. See if we can correct it. We'll bring it back. Let's look at this. Let's look at this game. This college football game here with South Alabama and Southern Miss. This one also tonight at 9 Eastern time. Southern Miss now 13. Total sits at 56. Of course, a little experience there under center for Southern Miss with their senior quarterback Jack Abraham. Have many of his playmakers on offense returning, including their offensive linemen. South Alabama, just a disappointing team. 0-6 on the road last week. Mitch, did you give this game any look?
Yeah, I certainly gave it a look. And, one thing that we have going on here, too, is a new offensive coordinator at Southern Miss as well, and a guy who really likes to move the football around a lot, and that's why that total is on the rise. Of course, South Alabama has a lot of returning starters as well, but this was from a team that absolutely stunk up the joint. I'm always kind of, back and forth on bad teams that return a lot of starters. It's one thing. It's like, Clemson's got their starting quarterback back, right? That's really good news, right? For them. Trevor Lawrence is back, and Etienne. And, but South Alabama doesn't have Trevor Lawrence, and they don't have Etienne. And I think that, these have to be some concerns because college football isn't like the NFL game, which is loaded with stoppages and commercials. You can get behind the runaway truck in a hurry in college football. Usually it doesn't happen that early in the season games, but it certainly can. And, when a team starts running downhill on you, have problems, and especially a South Alabama team that just might not have a lot of answers.
Absolutely, yeah. That's Dana looking at this game. South Alabama, you got to really worry about their offense if they're able to cover this number.
Yeah, I worry about their offense, and then I also worry about their defense as well. And so, given this matchup, because last year Southern Miss couldn't run the ball very well. Now they're facing a team that couldn't stop the run. You mentioned Abraham a little bit earlier, and it's going to be interesting to see. This is really the year that he's got all the expectations on his back, and we know he's one of the most accurate quarterbacks in college football, but we also know that he turns the ball over quite a bit. So I'm interested to see, again, sit back, do your homework, and watch these guys. Which Jack Abraham do we have this year under center? Do we have the one that's going to complete 70% of his passes, which he's done before? Or are we going to have the one that's completed 75% of his passes, but it's also mixed in with 2 picks? These are all questions that need to be answered as we move forward in the season.
All right, here on the drive-thru, more picks coming, guys. I'm joined by Dana Lane and Mitch here on the drive-thru. And, of course, Mitch, you can hear Mitch every morning at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time on his morning show. He's joined with Chris Ruffalo as well as Rod and Brian Bittler. So 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Mitch, I know tomorrow will be a big show as always. Big card from MLB.
Absolutely. There's 20 Major League Baseball games tomorrow, and of course we always have a good time on that show as well. We don't take ourselves too seriously, but we certainly take our picks seriously. We have a good time ribbing each other, wins and losses, and kind of making the same mistakes, over and over and over again. Like most bettors, we certainly don't win them all, but we try to, and we trying not to make it an infomercial for our premium picks either, even if no matter how excited we are. But I'd like to thank everybody that tunes into our morning show that might be tuning into the evening show for the first time. We have well over 200 people watching the show, which is just spectacular across our channels. 160 plus on our Pick Dogs YouTube channel, 30 something on the Sports Chat YouTube channel. We're on the Facebook groups are on fire, the Facebook pages. I just really appreciate all the support. I know I went on the on my morning show and I said that I'd be giving out an exclusive pick that I'm only giving out on this show. I haven't given it out anywhere. I didn't put it in the premium area, no newsletter, no nothing. So I do have that pick coming up, and another very big announcement that you guys are definitely going to want to hear.
Oh, absolutely. We'll take a listen here. All right, let's see if we can. We're going to try and connect again with El Ninos. Can we hear? Can I hear you, sir? We've got some audio issues there with Mr. L. Let's see here. Let me see. It's not my end, my man. You there, L?
The sign guy always gets all the chicks.
I guess so. El, you've got something with your microphone, my man. I heard some laugh from you. All right. Well, try again, my friend. Check your audio settings. I know I got the pick here. I see that, but we'd like to hear you why you like this game. So we'll try to sign in, try to check your audio settings, and we'll get to you later in the show. All right. We'll continue here with Dana and Mitch, and we'll go to Dana here. You're going to look at an AL game between the White Sox and Royals. We've got this one ready to go off here at 8 Eastern time. Cease and Duffy, White Sox $1.45 favorite. Total sits here at 9.5.
Yeah, I've had quite a bit of success with the run line as of late, and I'm not afraid to take that 1.5 and lay a little bit of juice. We're laying minus $1.21 with Kansas City, but we are getting to plus 1.5. And Danny Duffy, not a household name, but he is a 500 pitcher with the Royals. And you're saying, well, big deal, 500. Well, you know how many 500 pitchers the Pittsburgh Pirates wish they had? They have relatively none. I mean, they have none, actually, except for the guys I just called up. So he's a 500 pitcher. And, yes, I know they went to the World Series twice, won once, and that factors in as well. But, he's part of an organization and certainly seen their ups and downs. He will be in the 7-start inside the division, 5th in a row against either Minnesota or Chicago. He's 2-0 with a 4.12 ERA in those 4 starts, so he's not afraid to step up in a big time atmosphere. And I think he's going to at least keep him in the game. I have a lot of confidence in him. I'm watching, watch his mechanics. He's got decent mechanics. He spots his fastball well, which is secondary pitches, which is true for pitchers. He's 11 starts against the White Sox at career. ERA is a little bit of 3 with a high ERA. To me, they do score some for him. Get some runs with Kansas City, which I have in the past. I'd be more like the 1.5, even though I have to lay $1.21.
1.5 there with the KC Royals. I know, Mitch, the White Sox's team that you've been really you followed here with Dylan Cease. They've got some good arms this year.
Absolutely. The White Sox have made the most of those 3 big trades that they made in the past, the Chris Sale trade, the Jose Quintana trade, and, of course, the Adam Eaton trade. And we are seeing the dividends all pay off at once, and I talk about those trades all the time on our morning show because most people know I'm a White Sox fan. And, I sat through the good, the bad, and, they've had some horrific bullpens in recent years, too, and it's not been fun to watch. You see your team score 8-9 runs and lose. But I think this is a magical run for the White Sox, and I don't know if this is their year for the World Series, but I certainly see them having as much on their roster as any team out there. And I think that, if they had Kopech in there pitching, I'd feel even a little bit better about it, but they don't. But Dunning, Cease, Giolito, Dallas Keuchel, you're starting to see this come together. There's no, there's no Anibal Sanchez on this pitching staff, and there's no Mark Kotze's in this batting order either. This is serious business, from top to bottom. Every single guy can knock it out of the park. Every guy can run. Every guy can throw. This is a well-rounded team. It looks magical, like 2005 all over again. When I tell this story all the time, I was at a game at what was then U.S. Cellular Park, the new Kaminsky, they call it now Guaranteed Rate Park, and it was 9th inning against the Cubs, coming off the home sweep of the Cubbies. And the guy next to me hadn't said a word to me all game. I had no idea who he was. He turns to me and he says, "We're 34 games over 500. We're going to win the World Series." And it's like, it was just, all of a sudden you just realize it was like this team's going to win the World Series. And it was like, there was still plenty of baseball to play, but you could see a roster and a team being put together from top to bottom. And if they can keep this team together, oh boy, because, when Dunning is at the bottom of your staff and Dallas Keuchel is kind of looking like his old self, and you see guys like Cease, 6'8", throws 155 miles an hour, and he throws mostly fastballs, and it has some good natural movement to it, which is scary. But I could talk about the White Sox all day because it's like it's fun being a fan. It's like you have to have those those 10-9 losses to enjoy the games the games that you have now. That's the whole thing about being a fan and not being I'm a fan first. I'm a bettor, I'm a handicapper, I'm all those things. But when it comes to sports, everyone knows I'm a fan. It's like I'm the guy, and in Miami, we talk college football. I sat out in the stands in the Orange Bowl, 120-degree weather, watching games, and that's why I do what I do. It's like that's why I love what we do.
Absolutely, and that looking back at this game, White Sox. I kind of like the under in this one, under 9.5. Duffy's limiting his base runners, pretty good whip, and the bullpen for Casey's looked well. Dana, what do you have going on over at Pig Dogs right now as we move toward 20 minutes at the top of the hour?
Well, we got one winner in with the Pittsburgh Pirates earlier on, so that's good. I'm always feel good to get the first one out of the way. And then we have the nightcap with Arizona and the Dodgers, and we also have the San Diego Padres matchup up there as well. So 2 more games left, number 1 in baseball. Hopefully we can keep on rolling today.
All right, we had a dog come in with the Pirates, Brubaker plus money, and of course Lynn and Houston. It was Greinke and the Houston Astros with the 8-4 win. I guess Lynn gets on the train block, Mitch, and things go south, huh?
Yeah, I think so. It's the Rangers kind of have given up on him too, and given up on this season. It makes it hard on everybody on the team. But once again, these guys are professionals, and most of them realize that there's a million other people that are vying for their roster spot. So it's you start to see that effort later on.
Games in progress right now. Bottom 7th, it's Washington and Philadelphia, and it's now the Nationals up 5-4. But Philadelphia is threatening here in this bottom of the 7th, and the Mets and Yankees, Mitch, tied at 4 in the top of the 7th, with the Mets rallying here to tie it up.
Yep, that's what I'm watching right now. I have the over in both these games. That Mets-Yankees game, just a run out. This Washington-Philly game, they just had a few runners on for the Nationals. Were unable to capitalize with 2 outs after the solo home run.
Absolutely. Here on the drive-through, guys, we'll take it at the top of the hour. Wall-to-wall picks here on the show. And, of course, we found out from Dana Lane his play and what he has going on over at the Pig Dogs website. And a lot of action up there. Dana, I've seen you near the top of the leaderboard, so baseball's been good to you.
Baseball's been extremely good. I mean, we're just trying to focus on where the strength is right now, just making sure that every day we're handing people profit. And again, it doesn't matter if it comes from football or hockey or basketball, as long as it keeps on coming. And so far, so good. We got a few weeks left in the season, and hopefully we can maintain our position.
All right, we got
one
more
of the
picks.
things I notice about Dana's record. I do pay attention to these things, and one of the things I notice about Dana's overall record is that he's really not that much over 500 of his picks, but his profit margins are gigantic. And that just shows you that he's not just picking big favorites or like laying run lines, because the run lines these days aren't what they used to be. It's not like we're getting plus 180s and plus 210 run lines anymore. Now with the U.S. sports books gouging us, it's what we're seeing is that, just picking your spots and looking at, the way that I look at, the 162 game baseball schedule, and you say, well, even the worst teams, win 62 times a year, and even the best teams lose 62 times a year. And it's just picking those spots where that probability, and you're not going to get them all right, but you don't need to. If you're getting plus odds on most of your games or a lot of your games. And to me, that's where the value in handicapping is. Anyone could sit here and say, yeah, the Dodgers are going to beat beat Anibal Sanchez. I mean, anybody can say that, but if you're willing to risk minus 300 on them doing that night after night, it's a good way to go broke in a hurry.
Absolutely. Here on the drive-through, we still have more picks coming. And Danny had something out there?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I mean, that's an excellent point. And I, the bottom line to this, guys, no matter, we all want to win. There's no doubt. Baseball and the NL center are two separate animals. We want to continue to. There's no sense hitting 60% in Major League Baseball if you're still.
All right, Dana, we'll get back to you.
On plus.
Right, Dana. Dana's audio's cutting out. We're going to try to see if we can get Al back. Al, are you there? Or I'll just give you a play.
I'm still here, yeah.
And we can hear you. Yes, it's working, my man. All right, so Al, what do you got going on? I know you're going to be looking at this interleague contest between the Angels and the Padres.
Yeah, well, I would say a good matchup, but it's a mismatch in my eyes. But the Padres, one of the hottest teams in the league right now. Clevenger's looked pretty good. Just one bad start this year. Heaney on the other side's never really been a good pitcher. He did have a good start, though, in his last outing after 3 rough starts where he gave up 14 runs. The Angels do have a pretty good lineup with some big names in there. But they've still been one of the worst teams in the league. And their biggest problem, though, has been their pitching. And so what I really like here, and I really don't understand why this line is so low. I really like this over, as I said earlier, or tried to tell everyone earlier. But, yeah, I really like this over. And even I see you could if you push it up to 9.5, you can even get a plus 140 on it. So if you want to go for that, best of luck. But it's at plus 8.5. And I really love this play, so yeah, check. I'm taking the over if you want to tailor it. Best of luck to you.
Yeah, Padres been hitting the ball very well with Heaney. It's hard contact, 48% hard contact, a career 40% hard contact. So he had issue with that. And of course, right now the Padres crushing the baseball. Mitch, a lot of runs being scored here by this Padre lineup here, but sometimes that back end of that bullpen give them a little trouble.
Yeah, we saw them have some trouble against the Mariners in that series. That I believe that was last week. But, last night against the Angels, I thought they held their own. They had the big 8th inning after, not taking advantage of all their chances. But I think what you also see in this lineup is that you have that nice mix of some of the veterans like Hosmer and Machado mixing in with some of the younger guys, even like Tatis, who, was robbed on a hit and then he struck out his next time at bat. And then you saw him, willing to take a walk, for the team. To walk in a run. So I just think, you need to have guys willing to do those sorts of things. We're seeing more guys as the season has gone on with this runner starting at second base. We're even seeing more teams sacrifice bunt, but some players more willing to do that than we saw, the last 5 years.
Absolutely. And of course, Dana, your thoughts here with this Clevenger move penciled in here to get the start for the Padres.
Yeah, I won't go too deep into it because, like I said, I do have it up on the website, and I'd like you guys to go and partake in that. But, it is exciting to get Clevenger in the mix. I mean, this is the best I think anybody could say they've ever seen, and maybe outside of the World Series team. We'll see if they're a year away. I feel this way about the Padres, and I feel this way a little bit about the White Sox, and I feel like they're 1 year away, a little bit more maturity. But certainly, Clevenger will be in focus against the team that originally tried.
All right, Dana Lane here joined with Mitch and, of course, El Ninos. El, why don't you let everybody know what you got going on at Pick Dogs about 15 minutes at the top of the hour, or where we will have an NBA game, 2 college football, 4 MLBs, and 2 NHLs to bet on. What you got going on at Pick Dogs, El?
Yeah, I had my play on the NBA on the earlier game, but still got 3 good, a 3-pack of 3 good MLB picks, so I would check that out if you want to. And, lots of good picks tomorrow, too, so it's a great time to get on board right now.
All right, so check out Al Ninos over at Pick Dogs and pick up one of his packages. Al, is always great having you show. Got that mic going, so we'll talk to you again tomorrow.
Yep, thanks again for having me.
All right, that was Al Ninos here on our drive-through show. And, of course, we continue on with Mitch and Dana. Of course, we've got a lot more games to talk about. The Diamondbacks and Dodgers are going at it late tonight with Weaver and Kershaw. Again, Dana, we're seeing Kershaw with this big line at minus 285.
Yeah, and it figures. Again, the game's on the website, but boy, I'll tell you, his stuff is moving. He's got that, he's got that curveball that starts at the top of the head and ends up at the knees again. I think his back is feeling as good as probably has. I mean, there's a lot of people inside the organization that said he's as close to being the peak of what we know Kershaw to be as he's ever been. And I don't ever think, remember a couple of years ago when they went to Australia, I mean, I just didn't think he was right ever since that trip back. You know, he took some time off after that because of his back. But this Kershaw is the best that I have seen. Now, I have no interest in laying that big price, but we do have a play that is going to be beneficial and going to be bankroll friendly up on the website right now.
All right, guys, check out Dana Lane over at Pick Dogs. Pick up that play. You'll see him near the top of the leaderboard. All right, you guys waited long enough. It's time to bring in Mitch. And Mitch, you've advertised this game. Nuggets at Clippers, and actually it might have moved to half since we started the show. It's the LA Clippers minus 9.5. Total sits here at 222.5.
Yeah, obviously I'm not liking the rising numbers here because I do like the Clippers in this game. And I just think that you have some fundamental problems here that the Nuggets face in this game. And why I like the Clippers. I sure liked it a lot better at 8.5 and at 7.5 than I like it here, but I like it here nonetheless. You know, obviously not a premium play for me, but you know, I think the way when we listen, you know, we could say, well, these guys are professional athletes. They're 23-year-old kids for the most part. So, you know, fatigue isn't really an issue. But I think when you come through a series like the Nuggets just went through, grinding it in a run up and down the court series, like we saw against. Like we saw against the Jazz, I think that it does take something out of the Nuggets, and I expect them to come out though with a full head of steam and a lot of adrenaline. And I expect to see them come out loaded and ready. And I wouldn't be surprised if they led early and were able to get some early baskets, get some things moving around. But I think what we're going to see over time is we have a team that's probably going to fade a little bit in the third and fourth quarter against one of the great fourth quarter players out there in Kawhi Leonard. And I think that in this game in particular, I think the Thunder just has some problems. And I think a lot of it has to do with coming off of that, not just physically, but emotionally fatiguing series against the Jazz. Like I said, I liked it a lot better at 8.5. I still like it here at 9.5. I think it's double digits for the Clippers in this one. I'm generally not a big favorite guy. I've been on a lot of dogs. I know Dana's number one in Major League Baseball on the website. I'm number one in NBA basketball. And, I just think that, this is a spot where, tough to go against. The closer you get to the finals, the tougher it is to go against Kawhi. And I also think, though, that, looking at what the Nuggets have been through, it's only going to take its toll on them. So I just think in this case, the smart money is on the Clippers, and we're seeing it come in on them too. And I just think that it's getting a little high, so it's going to be a little dicey there. So I never like laying too many points, but at the same time, I'd rather win than lose. So that's where I'm going with this one. I like this Nuggets team a lot, and I said coming into the season that this was one of the teams that could probably make some noise in the playoffs. They have the roster, they have the guys, they're there, But it's like I don't know if they're there tonight against a well-rested Clippers team who might be a little rusty out of the gate against that emotion. So, I mean, this might be a great opportunity for a halftime bet too.
Yeah, so halftime bet, no doubt. We saw the total tick down a half point to 222.5. Any thoughts or feel on that total at all, or it's?
I think we're still gonna see a West Coast style game, and I think we're gonna see points. We saw the Nuggets score. I don't think the Jazz defense is quite Kawhi Leonard. I don't think it's quite the same as what they're gonna see tonight, and I don't think it's even close. This is a Clippers team that we've seen go toe to toe with the Lakers. Down to the final gun, and I don't know if the Nuggets can do that on a nightly basis. And, I think that the Nuggets are probably up against it. It's just a bad spot. I'm not saying that this is the way the series is going to go. We've seen some of these series where it's just, there's a crack opens up and then, they just get run over. I don't see that happening to the Clippers, but I do see that possibly happening here to Denver. And it's just, it really is more of a byproduct of what they just went through than anything.
How concerned here are you with the Clippers defense? They really rose until they faced a little bit of adversity from the Mavericks. How concerned are you that the Clippers could just come up with a lack of intent on the defensive side of the court? That's one thing I would worry about laying 9.5 is the fact how the Clips looked early in that series against Dallas.
Well, I don't think that the Nuggets defense has been anything to write home about either. I mean, while we talk about Murray scoring, 50 points a couple times, Donovan Mitchell did the same to them. And I just don't think they have as many answers here. That Denver has the answers. Yeah, the Clippers, they have problems on the defensive end of the court. The NBA is an offensive game. And that's just the way sports are in general, especially professional sports, because of the way they've let fantasy sports kind of take over the whole thing. And that's another discussion for another day, but I just think that you have a team that's worn down, and I just think when he comes into that fourth quarter, we've seen Kawhi Leonard take 3, 4, 5 point deficits and turn it into 15-point wins time and time again. It's like, how many times do we let him do it to us? Is just really what it's about. We saw him do it last year to a Warriors team, and they tapped out. They finally we're done. We're not even going to play our good guys anymore. It's like they're kind of injured. Now they're really injured, right? They're not even going to put him in anymore because they knew they had no chance against him. And I think he's got a lot to work with this year.
And sometimes we see coaches know that going into like a game one that the players look really fatigued. A lot of times they may just throw in the towel in the third quarter and just pull the horses, and the Clippers can just extend like the double-digit lead, 15-point lead. It could be 25 in the fourth quarter. You see something like that happen where Malone says, "Man, our guys just don't have it. Let's get them off the court. Let's limit their minutes, and let's let's try to fire in for game two."
Yeah, I think that's definitely a possibility. I don't think the series is going to be a sweep. I don't think it's going to be a beatdown every single game. I just think that the Nuggets have some problems, and where NBA games are generally settled are in the second half. And that's where I think the Nuggets' problems are, that midway through the third quarter and beyond, and that just happens to be where the Clippers are at their very, very best. And it's like, how many times have we covered on the Clippers where it looked like we were dead to rights? How many times do they have to do it? It's just no quit in this team. Speaking of no quitting, the Mets, Yankees are over the total.
They're over the total, and the Yankees looking to pile on some more runs on here, up 6-4, top of the seventh, with runners at second and third. All right, Mitch, what you got going over on Pick Dogs about 10 minutes at the top of the hour?
Well, we have our consensus report has been put together. We finally got it together, and everyone that subscribes to our newsletter is going to get free 3 days of the consensus report. Everyone that watches this show tomorrow, and we'll have a code for everyone to get a free 3 days of the consensus report. And we're going to use the consensus report as things for, more for like giveaways and things of that nature. You're free to buy it if you want it. It's more of a tool, and it's just a report. It tells you how many candy cappers are on each side. People use it different ways. It's not picks, per se. But it's something that, a lot of the sites out there have. And so I figure, people asked me about it, like everything that we do. It comes from requests from our audience. So, we didn't have the consensus report. I didn't think it was that important, but people say, hey, we don't have the consensus report. It's like, all right. So I'll give everybody, free 3 days. And I think it's like $20 anyways, for like a month or a week or something. I don't even know. I wasn't really that involved in the process, to be honest with you guys. I just do what you guys want, and I kind of let everybody else take over. And I think that's what we do now. That's the way things have grown to and where they've evolved to. Just like, this show here, I see Tony and Dana, they have this really good chemistry on the show. It's like, there's no reason for me to sit here in the bottom of the screen and, chat with you guys. I could just stay in the chat room without being, in the way of these guys and Joe D'Amico and, all the great cappers that we have. Give them a little FaceTime, let you guys get to know them a little better, and I think that's what it's kind of all about, because our sites have always been a little different than everybody else's. We're not a traditional handicapping site like some of the other guys. And, I could mention their names, but I'm not going to. But you guys know who they are. Rhymes with Lagos Midnighter and, Mothers and places like that. But we're not, traditionally like those type of sites. We're always been more about a community. We don't come from, and, that's kind of the way that we always have done it. And that's why, millions and millions of people watch our videos every month. Millions and millions of people visit our website, because it's not about high pressure sales. It's about delivering what you guys want. And the people that want that, then that's great. We have that for you. If you don't, well, we got live shows, we got videos, we got Facebook groups, we got websites, we got everything else. So we got, you don't want to buy individual picks, we got consensus reports for you. We got whatever you want. It's like, if you guys have stuff that we want, and if there's more stuff that you want, that's feasible, that's fine. I also got a question here in the comments. Why am I wearing a collared shirt? Yes, I am fresh off the golf course.
Yeah, off the golf course. That's right.
38 on the back nine. And I'll tell you that. And we got 75.1, 138 slope. So definitely U.S. Open quality. Is that my club where I play? It's shameless plug for the King Kamehameha Golf Club.
There you go.
Like I said, U.S. Open qualifying course. It is one nasty bitch.
Absolutely.
It is like, I mean, I'm not a big hitter, but it's like I've been playing golf for a long time, and for me, some of those par fours, driver, wedge, it's like it's a par four. It's like I'm hitting driver off the deck and still a good wedge to get to the green.
All right, back here on the drive-through, Tony T, joined by Danny Lane and Mitch. It's time for my free pick here. We're going to come back with the under in this Diamondbacks and Dodger game. Clayton Kershaw, it's under 8.5. Kershaw on the mound. We know he's been pitching well. He's allowed 2 earned runs in his past 20 innings of work, and the bullpen's been solid. I don't like this Diamondbacks hitting lineup. Now, Luke Weaver's on the mound for Arizona. He's had 3 good starts, a couple bad ones, but I have confidence here that we can keep this under 8.5, especially with Kershaw and that Dodger bullpen in there. We know Arizona has struggled to score and hit against lefties. Under 8.5. The under came in yesterday with Buehler and Gallen. We're coming back here under 8.5. And Mitch, this Diamondbacks team just really spinning out of control on a downward cycle.
Yeah, Diamondbacks have always been a streaky team. Win 15, lose 15 type team. But I thought last night they really had a chance in that one. Kind of let it get away.
Yeah, Dana, it's just the Diamondbacks they're just not producing runs.
Yeah, I mean, even to your point too, Tony. I mean, I don't think Cody Bellinger is going to be in the lineup tonight, so that speaks to the under as well. And I think we're going to see Weaver be a little bit more aggressive in the strike zone, and that's why it's really important that you watch these games because, Weaver's last time out, if you're just looking at line score, wasn't impressive at all. But if you watch the game, you would know that he was really close to putting the Giants away in many different times in the game, but he just continued to nibble, and he even spoke to that after in the press conferences saying, hey, look, I just need to be more aggressive. And if he's that, I think Arizona at least is going to hang around for a little bit. So I do like your pick out of the under as well.
Absolutely. Of course, we finally saw Mitch. We talk about Stripling. We finally saw Stripling get moved out. Urias may be the next guy in a couple of years as they kind of give up on some of these prospects. Ryu gone and Stripling gone.
Yeah, and we also, the Dodgers have plenty of prospects in that system to ship out and, move on from as well. I mean, these are just some of them, that we're seeing. Gonsolin is still,
oh, yeah.
Still has to run him. And, there's a couple other guys, but I think it's amazing that some of these other pitchers on some of the other teams and some of these other players that were not moved at the trade deadline, just as mystifying. But this is an odd year, so I think it'll be nice to be back to normal next year. I did enjoy having all kinds of sports going on during August, but at the same time, I'm kind of ready for some normalcy, and I think we're going to start to see that maybe after Thanksgiving.
That's right, guys. We're at the end of our show here at the drive-thru. Remember, check tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Mitch and his guys will be on with the morning show. Of course, it's Chris Ruffalo. We've got Ron Z. We've got Brian Bittler. Wall-to-wall action there. A lot of picks, a lot of MLB picks. And maybe they'll look – well, actually, they've got a show on the weekends as well. So your Saturday college football show, we'll have some college football to talk about as well. And, of course, don't forget, tune in tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. It'll be the drive-thru, of course, joined by Dana Lane and Joe Domingo tomorrow.
We'd love to have you on our show, Tony. Dana, you're welcome to come on our show. Any other handicappers that are here for the drive-thru or that aren't, on today's drive-thru, come on by. We'll give you guys, 5 minutes on the side and talk about everything and kind of let people know why they should be tuning into this show, except, when I'm going to be on to give out my Clippers pick or something. It's like, I know we had a really good crowd today, but hopefully that you guys that tuned in saw that, this is a great show. It's not the same as our morning show. It's a different show. It's a lot more professional than our show. Oh. We know that.
Well, Mitch, you got the number one NBA handicapper and the number one MLB handicapper. I'm not sure what other reason you would need to not tune into this show on a regular basis.
I'm with you. But people, it's like different timing, and these are strange days. So I think, once people get back to normal, they're home from work, getting ready to do the games, eating their dinner or whatever. Also, our morning show is also available now on SoundCloud and whatever, all the podcasting.
Cool.
On your podcast, guys. So check out if you can't catch it live on the podcast, on the Pig Dogs podcast, and of course our show Drive Through 6 p.m. Eastern Time. We're back tomorrow with more coverage. For Dana Lane and Mitch, I'm Tony T. Tune in tomorrow. We'll talk to you then, guys. It's time to watch the games and win your bets.
I appreciate everyone tuning in. Thank you. I'll see you in the morning.